Do you ever feel like you're not in sales? I know we are in pre-sales. It's in the name, pre-sales. But a lot of times you don't feel like you're in sales, but we are. I mean, I get it. Some of us go by the title of solutions consultant or solutions engineer, but we're in sales at the end of the day. And that's kind of what we need to come to terms with sometimes. And that's exactly the topic of this podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm Jack Cochran, General Manager of Presales Collective and the host of this podcast. Normally, I have Matthew James with me as the co-host, but today a little bit different. Matthew is unavailable. So instead, I have a special co-host for you today. Allison Macalik is going to be joining me as co-host. She is a seasoned leader with over a decade of experience in the pre-sales and solution engineering field. She's a very strategic person. She's founded a WISE chapter at salesforce.org, where she has been for over 5 years. She's part of the WISE Council at Presales Collective as well. Fantastic person. I've really enjoyed her conversation as well. We're joined by our guest today, though, Alex Nation, who is going to be talking with us about being salespeople in disguise. Alex herself, from the San Francisco Bay Area, has been in pre-sales for over 10 years, has been the President's Club over 3 times. She's been leading teams for the past 3 years. She's also stood up ERG groups at her company. She's been the chair of those. Very passionate about her very non-technical career background coming into this world as well. We've got a lot of experience going into the podcast, and I'm very excited for you to listen to our conversation. I think it's going to be a really fantastic time. But before that, I just want to let you know this episode, along with almost all of our others, actually all of our others still at this point, are recorded live at our show called Presales Live, which is every other Tuesday. Check out presalescollective.com, hop into our Slack, check out our events page, sign up for the newsletter to find out how you can join the Presales Collective's Presales Live show live. But without that, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get into the episode right after the break. Need some help up-leveling the skills of your team? Presales Collective has a solution for that. We offer live instructor-based training, in-person workshops, reinforcement skills training, on-demand learning, and more. Whether you need to brush up on your discovery skills or your whole team needs to brush up on their value selling, we can build and tailor a plan specifically for you and your team. Head over to presalescollective.com today to browse the offerings for yourself, or reach out to us to schedule a time to speak through the details. And now, back to the show. Alex, thank you so much for joining the Presales podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I really like this topic. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun. Presales people in disguise. I remember when we were first talking about it, I'm like, yes, I feel like everyone resonates with this idea a little bit that, are we in sales? Are we not? We're in sales, but do people not know we're in sales? Do I not know that I'm in sales? I feel like we want that at some point.
Yeah.
Before we hop into that, though, I'd love just for you to give everyone a little bit of background about yourself, kind of a little bit of your pre-sales journey. What got you to where you are today?
Yeah, happy to. So I graduated into a recession in 2009. I don't know if anyone on the live show can relate, but if you remember that time, there were no jobs. So I went into Nordstrom's management training program. I tapped into a knack for business during college, and I wanted to move to Seattle. I wanted to move up the ranks, be a buyer. Eventually, I wanted to be editor-in-chief of Vogue. I was going to find my way there somehow. And so, I go to Nordstrom. I was a top performer. I received their Pace Setter and All-Star Awards. If anyone has worked at Nordstrom back in the day, you know what those are. It's the equivalent to President's Club. But it wasn't enough. Fashion is fun. I still love it, but I was ready for a new challenge. So I learned a lot from those days. One event that stands out was being personally honored by Blake Nordstrom. He was such an incredible leader. During this award ceremony, he remembered the names of all the people being honored, out of order, no notes, something personal about each of them. It was just such an incredible, warm moment of leadership that I still remember to this day. When he died a few years ago, I was really sad. And then I also remembered that moment. I was a year out of college, and here's this, 4th generation family member taking the time to recognize me and some of my colleagues. It was truly amazing. So from there, I pivoted into tech. This was in 2011. SaaS was still in its infancy. and I wanted to jump on the exciting tech train here in the Bay Area. And I remember convincing the hiring managers in my first tech job that if I could sell expensive merchandise, and if my team, we were always at the top of the leaderboard, if I could do that in a recession, I could sell anything. So I bet on myself. And I never looked back. I carried a bag for a year. And at this company, the deal team was one person. So imagine this, Jack, we were just talking about different roles for this show and how necessary that is. In this world, I did everything. I prospected, I demoed, I closed, I implemented, I account managed. And I didn't realize that these are usually distinctly different jobs. And so fortunately, I identified my favorite part of the process, which was being an SC. Didn't even know what that was called. Didn't know that was a thing. The week before I went to interview at Oracle for my first, what would turn out to be an SE job, I said to my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, Tyler, I was like, man, I love this demo part. That has to be a job. And he's like, yeah, probably go find it. I still remember his face. He was like, yeah, this is not the only tech company on the planet. I'm sure you can figure it out.
I'm sure someone thought about that at some point.
Someone thought about that. And then I go to Oracle. And I went to interview, how especially Oracle in particular and these really big tech companies, I went to interview for this sales job in this cocktail party setting. And the guy interviewing me, I don't remember his name. I will be forever grateful to him. We're talking and he goes, so are you a hunter closer or are you a presenter pain point gatherer? And I had never heard it phrased like that before. And I don't know what I said that made him say that, but I was like, if it costs me this interview, I'm going to be honest with this guy. And I was like, I'm really not a hunter closer. I'm a presenter pain point gatherer. And he was like, okay, we're putting you into the solution consultant queue. And again, this is a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. I was like, the what? He was like, solution consulting, the ones who handle all the technical pieces, the discovery, all of that. And so then I got the job. I never looked back. That was over 10 years ago.
Okay. I think we're living parallel lives. Wow. So I also graduated in 2009. I went to a little startup because there was no jobs. And then I went to agency and I was doing digital agency and I was a really good presenter. And a rep was like, hey, come work with me at Sprinkler and you'll be an SC. I didn't know what it was. When I went to boot camp, I remember this seller, if he's ever listening, his name is Joe Malott. We're still connected on LinkedIn. And he goes, are you ready to present every day? And I go, oh, I'm not doing that. And he goes, what do you think you're doing here? And I go, I don't know. I go, and he goes, you're going to be demoing. I was like, no, I'm not. And he goes, this girl, what is she? And that was 10 years ago. I'm telling you.
He's like, am I being punked? Wow.
I think we literally have the same track of getting to pre-sales. That's so weird.
I love that in the space-time continuum. Someone was like, hey, come be an SC.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. I always say it's the best job no one even knows about, but I literally didn't know. Even at boot camp, I don't even know how I got there. I was just like, what's up, guys? They're like, do you know why you're here? No.
That really is a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. I love it.
So for me, it wasn't 2009, but I had shifted my career when someone had said, hey, you should try out solution consulting, or it was called sales engineering at the time. And I was like, that doesn't sound interesting to me. They said, no, you'd be really good. You should try it. And I was like, I'm ready for a change. I didn't even look into what the role was. I had no idea. I went through the whole interview process not knowing what I was going to do. And I ended up getting the role. They said, okay, we're going to have you do a discovery call, a mock discovery call. I said, what's a discovery call? I'm in the job. I have the role as a field enterprise SC. I have no idea what a discovery is or why it's important. The funny thing is I didn't even use my discovery to tailor what my next presentation was. I just I did that call. Now I'm going to do this call. Why would this call impact that call?
Yeah, 100%.
I love that concept you were talking about around, or the question the person had said around, are you a hunter closer? Yeah. Or are you a discover? What was it? Presenter discover?
Presenter pain point gatherer.
Presenter pain point gatherer. Because I feel like that summarizes a lot of, I should say also a good part of being a good SC, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of SCs who are presenters as their roles, not pain point gathering. Did that impact at all, which as you were getting started, how you thought about your role because of that introduction?
Yes. And I think also because of my background, the part that I intuitively understood was the actually speak as little as possible in general, but especially in the beginning. I wanted to do all kinds of different things. But one of the things I thought I might do is like, I might become a therapist. Like, you have to be a really good listener. I thought about teaching. I thought about being a chef and a lawyer. I was all over the place. 18-year-olds don't know what they want.
Fact.
But yeah. So that kind of helped inform it. And then Oracle, thankfully, and I think they still do this, they have so much money to throw at training. It was 4 months before I was ever allowed to speak to a customer. And we spent a huge chunk of time on discovery. So I went to like Le Cordon Bleu of SE training, I feel like 4 months, no customers.
That's amazing, because I feel like with bandwidth constraints and things like that, you're kind of just thrown in. Normally I hear like a 60 to 90, but taking the time to understand, what does discovery mean? Like, Jack, to your point, like, you're not just asking these logistical questions. You're trying to help them understand why they're about to spend a lot of money. So you have to go deeper and deeper. The only time I've ever done like a discovery training is actually through Discovery to Win, through Demo to Win.
Demo to Win.
Yeah. But they have a Discovery to Win training too. Yeah. But I've never done like a dedicated discovery training. And it's so important. Like, I love that you had that.
It really helped shape, everything. Slow down to go fast, my boss at Oracle used to say. I have taken Demo to Win, I want to say twice. I love, you guys know Rue Dickinson. Anything Rue says, I'm like, yes, frame that for me. Related to discovery specifically, he's just so good at cutting through the noise. And you're right, Allison, there's a lot on the line there. I always try to put myself in the customer's shoes in the sense that, let's say they're looking at 4 vendors. Plus or minus, we all look and sound the same. They're like, I don't know. You're all telling me you're the best. You're all telling me you're better than your competitor. What about me? I think my fresh set of eyes, I don't have a CS degree. I, majored in communications. I've tried to hold on to my fresh set of eyes in that sense of like the person on the other side of the table. What are they thinking? And are they in their evaluation process? Like, they don't know what they don't know.
On something you were just saying there about discovery, I resonate well with that, because I do feel like a lot of the times customers are listening to what we say when we're just presenting who we think we are, right, as a company. And we do all sound alike. And it's very difficult. I feel like, for one thing, everyone who is selling needs to buy something at some point, something small. Go through the purchasing process and just understand, one, how difficult it is to really understand the differences and to really feel like what it feels like to be on the receiving end of a lot of these presentations. And what you'll discover, and what I've discovered having done it a few times, is that I appreciate the companies who take the time to do that discovery more with me up front, because I feel like everything that follows is then for me, as opposed to just them generically telling me what I've already gathered by looking at their website. And that almost the best discovery usually wins the deal for me. Not always. Sometimes there are some objective things that, there's a specific piece I did find. But if I have 3 companies that I can't tell the difference between, whoever did the best discovery and understands me better is likely going to win my business.
Absolutely. And there's a mutual fit component there too. And I think in our role, SEs are the voice of reason in the room. The voice of like, I want to help find the right fit, not any fit, but the right fit. And part of that is keeping the guardrails on. The topic of this episode is salespeople in disguise. I think it's obvious to the customer that we're salespeople. And I often, and I, clear this with the sales rep before, and I coach my team to do the same of like, hey, I'm the one with no horse in this race. Do you mind if I ask a few probing questions? And they're like, oh my God, yes, please. Usually depends. Of course, you want to like agree on that beforehand. But something as, curious and kind of gentle to the customer is like, hey, you've had your existing tool for a long time. Why look now? What's motivating you? Like those types of questions. And then let the silence hang while they go, oh, wow. And hopefully you've established a little bit of trust, and hopefully you can really get them to open up. But that's where your negotiating skills come into play, the different ways that you can run that conversation. But that's another thing I love about our role is the opportunity to ask those tough questions and like build that trust.
Talk to me about let the silence hang. That feels like that comes from a deep set wisdom that you've ingrained in yourself, because that's not a phrase everyone uses. So talking about let the silence hang, what is that?
So 2 things. A friend of mine at my previous company, he was really good at this. He was a very jovial, New Zealander. He would do his demo and then he would just stop talking. And I was shadowing him. I was still 2-3 years into my career and I would count. And then, he was like totally unbothered. And then the customer would say whatever they were going to say. And then I also reinforced that I'm a nerd. I'm always watching different master classes, reading things, whatever. Chris Voss's negotiation masterclass, where he talks about the power of slowing things down, lowering your voice, effective silence. There's so much in there. I think it really shows that you're unbothered. You're okay with people like taking time to collect themselves. And if you look for it, you can start to see it everywhere. President Obama was another really good employer of the pause and just slowing your speech down, because it shows that, you're like, we'll get to the outcome, whatever that is, but it's an effective negotiating tool, I think.
I agree with that. On the opposite side of the coin, sometimes when we're demoing or we're doing a presentation, when we were taught at Sprinkler, we actually had to do exercises like this internally. And someone would ask a question. And you know how SCs, we love to have the answer and we love to give more. We're just solutioners. We love it.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
I know.
Exactly. I can help you so much more too. But we're all very similar. I've seen it my whole career. But what we would have to do together as a team, as role play, and someone would be the client of the customer and they would ask a question. And if the answer was yes, we had to just say yes. Mm-hmm. And it's so uncomfortable when you're not, because you want to say yes and you want to go deeper. And we had to literally go back and forth as a team and just say yes. I'm dying because I'm like, I want to say more. And then we had to take our hands off the keyboard, because even if you're not talking, sometimes you want to demo and click. We'd have to say yes and put our hands on our lap. And it was so uncomfortable. So when you say those awkward silences, you have to train your brain to get there because it doesn't come natural.
It's excruciating. I coach it and I look at the face of the person I'm coaching and I'm like, I know you want to crawl under the table right now. I get it. And as you were talking, Allison, I like clenched my fists. Like, even though I'm not demoing right now, it's like reflexive.
I think it's universal for all of us.
It is. There's an SC archetype. I actually wrote a document for this at work because we were, interviewing and hiring SCs. And one of those is like always tinkering with something. Every SC I meet all around the world, no matter what. And I don't care what it is. If it's a sourdough recipe, if it's their demo, they're always tinkering with something.
That, I think, sums up SEs really well. I mean, not every SE, because we're actually getting to the point now where people actually do know the careers. People are making the choice to move in as opposed to falling into it by someone telling us we're good at it. But those who do well at it have that innate curiosity in life that they can't let go of at work, and that they can't let go of outside of work either. And that's what ends up driving a lot of that good and bad behavior around the silence as well. And I love that sometimes you just have to answer yes and be quiet, like, because that's a difficult exercise to do. Also, the just stopping talking at the end of your sentence. I remember coaching someone I had on my team once who was very bad at silence because he was a great orator. He could speak well. He could command a room. He had been used to speaking to large groups, but you get him into a presentation context, he'd never stop talking, never stop talking. He would ask a question and then continue without any pause. I told him once, I'll keep his name out of this one. We'll call him Steven for the sake of the exercise. I said, Steven, here's what I want you to do. You ever been to a circus where they ask a horse a question and he stamps his foot to count? I said, I want you to stamp your foot 10 times after you ask a question before you're allowed to talk again.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, we had to get to that point, but he's like, all right. And he did that. He said, I literally asked a question and I tapped my foot. You could see him doing it a little bit in camera.
Oh,
and he's like,
God.
What was crazy is he did that. He wasn't so focused on the fact that he was waiting for so long, but it allowed the customer to step into the silence with their ideas, with their thoughts. And it just completely changed how he was able to demo. It completely changed his customer's perspective of him as well, as like more of an open and understanding presenter. And so I love silence. It's very, very difficult.
Stamp your foot 10 times. That is hilarious. Because you had to help him make the shift. A big room. Yeah, absolutely. It's not really possible to go around and interact with everybody. But in a small group, you have to. And then, it was probably hard the first few times. And then he realized, oh, I'm putting the focus on these people. And then you start to create this positive flywheel. but you have to trust the silence at first.
You do, because it feels weird. You know, when you're using your application on your own, when you're doing something where you're preparing for your demo, and then it sits there and it loads, and the load times seem fine. Then you're on a demo, and that load time seems like it takes forever.
Oh my God.
But it's not taking forever. It just feels like it is because someone's watching it. We do the same thing with our speech. And so that positive flywheel of getting that silence reinforcement, you're right. Eventually, you don't have to stamp your foot anymore because you've gotten so used to the fact that, hey, this silence is beneficial.
Exactly. And your software can't know that you're afraid of it. It's like watching water boil, because then it will crash.
Your software was more afraid of you than you are of it. Is that what that's the phrase?
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time. People have asked me my whole career, would you ever go into sales? Would you ever be a seller? And I know my reasons, but I want to ask you too, because you seem like you understand, and like what makes you stay in this role versus going into sales, like a true seller?
So broadly speaking, we kind of found our home in the deal team, right? And like the question of like, do you want to be pre-sales versus post-sales? Well, for me, I love the pre-sales world. I think there's an element of your appetite for risk. I feel that I'm much more effective helping our entire pre-sales team, our entire go-to-market team, effectively bring products to customers from where I sit. Now, I got into leadership a few years ago. I've been leading teams for 3 years. I still like to keep my hand in, learned from my Nordstrom days as like, you know, I'm still helping with deals, even if it's like empowering, steering, strategizing, unblocking, you know, all of that stuff. But I think, there's an element of risk tolerance. I think the pressure that we face from having to be the technical experts is my kind of pressure. It's like my flavor of pressure. But then I think about, you know, the future. Like I've gotten advice of like, oh, depending on where you want to go in your career, you may want to consider becoming a generalist. What does that mean? Does that mean I go lead a sales team at some point? I've seen leaders do it. So we'll see. We'll see. But I also have enormous empathy for sellers because it's high pressure, high risk, high reward. I think we all gravitate towards that. I think we love the pressure.
The empathy for sellers is something I don't think is as common as maybe you think it is. Did you have to work on getting kind of that empathy or understanding for your sales counterparts?
Well, I carried a bag for a year. And granted, it was the first year of my tech career. So I hold on to that. I hold on to the extremely thick skin you have to have. I can see it, like, you know, when I'm working with them and they're really at the center of all these different inputs. Like not only do they have to effectively manage their customer, but then they have to effectively manage their deal team. At any given point, there's so many things that can go wrong. And so the best sellers I've seen, like their contingency plans have contingency plans. They run such tight ships, but like, it's hard. Your customer could be ready to sign, and then someone who didn't have eyes on the contract goes, excuse me, wait a minute, what are we doing? No, we need to go back to a POC. Or IT pops their head up and is like, hi, we have questions. Like it's just, but we love it. High risk, high reward.
My first SC boss, Katie Raymer, she went on to be a total badass seller at Salesforce. And we usually get together here in Dallas for coffee. And I remember when I became a leader at Salesforce for a couple of years, she told me, because we were all in pre-sales, like we have this one view of the deal because we need to get discovery and we need to have this amazing presentation. Like, great, we did our job. And she's like, as a seller, you have this massive customer lifecycle, even post-sale. And she goes, you just have no idea. You don't even have eyes on it. And so that was a huge realization for her. So that's, Jack, to your question about empathy. I think for me, it took someone in my world and then going to sales to remind me, hey, this is a much bigger thing than just your purview. And I train my team on it too. So we try to be great partners. We try to lead with empathy because there's so much out of their control. It's not their fault.
So much out of their control. And we're all on the same team and we all want the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I used to have this document that was like these 10 commandments and it was so long and how to work. And then years ago, I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to scratch that. And all we're going to do is what's best for the client together. Like that's our only rule now is this the best thing for the client? And then when you come at it from that angle, if you have to push back on timing or bandwidth, it's like, hey, we're maxed. We want to have a better prep for the client. And then the seller is like, oh yeah, duh. Like, of course I want that. And so it's just been so much easier. So I try to share that of just, hey, we're in this together. It's okay. We're going to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, Nordstrom had this principle, use your best judgment in all situations. There are no other rules. Same thing. It's empowering because then you don't have to ticky-tack, argue over whether or not the demo is in today or in 3 days. If we do it today, this is how it's going to go. If we do it in 3 days, this is how it's going to go. And that's really powerful because then you're rowing in the same direction. And it is just software.
End of the day, we're selling software, technology, or services. It's going to be okay. I think
it's going to be okay.
Something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah. Because then you set that fear aside. What's on the other side of fear? Nothing. And then you can just focus on the outcome. And then actually you're able to deliver at a much higher level than if you're stuck in worrying about things that ultimately don't really matter and that you can't control.
Okay, I'm just sitting here learning nuggets of wisdom that you're casually throwing by. What's on the other side of fear? Nothing.
That's a Jamie Foxx quote.
Okay. I'm like, where's this coming from here?
Jamie Foxx.
the great orator of comedic wisdom. Yes, I love it.
I want to say that was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. Okay, maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I think he's an excellent mimicker. Fun fact. So is Ariana Grande.
I didn't know that about Ariana, but I didn't know about Jamie Foxx. I know he's a great singer.
Yeah, super talented. But I think he was talking about that in the context of his work. And, he's such a multifaceted talent. I think just giving a go and flexing on different things. So
speaking of little nuggets of wisdom, though, because now I want to hear more. So let's reel in a little bit. If you had to do that thing around giving your younger self advice, could be any age, but what would that be? Because I need more things that I'm going to be learning from you, apparently.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That's so nice. So, I look back on her with a lot of fondness and affection for doing her best with what she knew at the time. She wouldn't listen, but I'd say, don't be so hard on yourself, please.
That's a facet we never consider. Our younger selves would probably never listen to us.
No.
But But yeah, don't be hard on yourself. Yeah.
Now, I'll be 38 this year. I have a 2.5-year-old, and you start to give yourself a lot of grace of man, I was just doing my best. And again, it frees you to actually do your best work because you can just let go of all of that. But I think I would, greet her as, 2 years from 40, which I'm feeling good about, and just look, I'm here for you. I believe in you. Keep going. Develop good boundaries, but be flexible. To Allison's earlier point, you can do both. You can hold firm boundaries and you can also be really effective. I would say those big things. And also, you have no idea how the world is going to change. So just, I'm an optimist. I don't know why I am the way I am, but I've always believed that I will figure it out, even if I don't know how, even if I can only see the first step.
Did you know that flexibility is a key of an emotionally intelligent brain?
Huh.
So there you go.
As parents, we know all about that, don't we? It's a good thing I try to hold on to, with people in my professional life, in my personal life, with my little one. You got to decide, which hill am I going to die on today? It's not going to be eat peanut butter out of the peanut butter jar. Knock yourself out. No.
Definitely worse things that can happen than that, for sure, in parenting.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's also kind of the flexibility is key to probably pre-sale success as well, right? That whole, what we're talking about, we know the way we want to do things, but just like Allison did with taking away the 10 commandments and making one, we're just in it for the customer. Well, that's going to require flexibility. It's going to require, this is not the best way of doing it. Yeah. That's what we got to do.
We all know this. We meticulously plan for an on-site with a customer. Doesn't matter if it's an hour, doesn't matter if it's 3 days. And then you get in the room and almost with pitch perfect predictability, everything goes sideways. They're like, no, the 20 things we told you we want to see, we actually don't want to see any of that. Oh, they're surprised. There's these 5 people here. We gathered and we have a whole bunch of questions. Can you answer these 50 questions the next hour? Okay, let's go.
The key decision maker actually can only be here for the first 20 minutes. Could you just start with what they want to hear? It's oh, okay.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem. Exactly. That's what makes it fun. 2011 to present. Never bored.
Dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
How can people get a hold of you? How can they find out more? And is there anything you're working on today you wanted to let us know about?
So find me on LinkedIn Alexandra Nation, I love meeting people in the best job in the world. So please connect. We cannot do any of this alone. And I'm happy to pass on the help that I've received over the years on the one condition that you pass it on to. So there's that. What am I working on? Oh my God, so many things. I am hoping to do some more speaking engagements this year. That's a goal of mine. I have so much fun doing it. You found me through the Reprise panel, which was a blast. That's how I met Matthew. But what I'm working on is getting plugged more into the SE community. So please find me from that perspective. I'd love to help.
Oh, well, Alex, I'm on Wise Presales Collective Council. And if there is anything you'd like to get involved,
yes,
let me know.
Yes, please.
We
definitely.
Do events once a month. I'm going to do a plug. We do events once a month.
Yeah.
We're doing I Am Remarkable workshop tomorrow. Tuesday. Yep, we do things like that all the time. So let's chat. Anyone else interested too?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You have a whole Women Solutions Excellence, right? That's what the name is now? Yeah, Women Solutions Excellence Council. You can find out about that. I think the Slack's probably the best place to connect with us about that. Reach out to Allison for that, and soon reach out to Alex, who'll know all about it as well.
Yes, please. I mean, talk about a passion. Like, for anyone listening, but especially for women, I would like to make your path to pre-sales easier than mine was, easier than Allison's was, easier than Jack's was. Like, yeah, it's the best job in the world.
Yes. Love it. Well, Alex, thank you so much for being on the show. And Allison, thank you for being my fantastic guest co-host on the episode as well. Time has flown by. Thank you so much.
This was so much fun. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Presales Podcast. These shows are recorded live during our bi-weekly LinkedIn show called Presales Live and include a listener Q&A after each recording. To find information on the live show, head to presalescollective.com/podcast, follow the Presales Collective page on LinkedIn, or join the Presales Collective Slack. We have a dedicated channel for the Presales Podcast where you can find more information and join in the conversation after the show. We'll see you next time.